Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks everyone for dialing in today. Great, I can see quite a number of people have attended and managed to join in okay. So I'll get started. So good morning everyone, my name is Faye Stenning. I'm a marketing manager here at InfoTrack. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which is focused on one of our most innovative solutions, which is Property Report. So I'm delighted to be joined by Liz Campbell, who's a product manager from InfoTrack. She's going to be giving you a demonstration of Property Report and all of its features. Following Liz's demonstration, the Head of Account Management, Tom Kerwin, will be speaking with Solicitor from Knights, Lowri Peploe-Williams, and Senior Associate from Knights, Minal Shah, to find out firsthand how they found using Property Report from InfoTrack. So before we begin the webinar, I would just like to draw your attention, please, to the Q&A tab, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We will be running a Q&A session at the end of this webinar, so please type in any questions that you might have for Liz, Tom, Lowri or Minal, along with your name into the Q&A box. And that way, if we run out of time or if your questions require further clarification, we can extract your information and follow up with you directly after the webinar. So without further ado, I would like to hand you over to Liz so that we can get started with today's webinar. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Ben. So yeah, my name is Liz Campbell. I'm the product manager for Property Report. Like Faye said, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration, a 20-minute demonstration of how Property Report works. It's going to be quite just a general overview. In 20 minutes, you're just going to go over the basic step-by-step guide on how to use Property Report. We might not get into all the features, but again, you will have questions, so just add them in the chat below. I'm just going to share my screen so you guys can see. So this is obviously InfoTrack's homepage. To access Property Report, you can go through the matter and access it through here, or you can access it through the top productivity bar. Once you are here, this is where you can create your Property Report workspace. What you would do is enter your matter, and essentially I will just show a demonstration. So once you enter your matter, we will pre-populate your address, pre-populate the title number, the purchaser's name, and the data sources, which is your searches or your SDLT, etc., or your mortgage offer, and we'll pull that through so that we can use those to refine the content of your report. The only thing you'll need to select is really your tenure type. So what I like to say at this stage, just by entering your matter, what you've done is sort of given the report around 200 to 300 commands, refining our content library down to the content that's really specific and applicable to your conveyance. So I'm just going to click order. So now what you've done is you've created a Property Report workspace. On the right-hand side, you will see a live version of the report. And on the right-hand side is the build report section. And this is where you will check the content, that you're happy with the content, remove anything that's not applicable, and fill in any details. So Property Report is split into 5 sections if it's a freehold, 6 sections if it's a leasehold. The first section that you see here is the property details section, and this is where you would report on your title. So here, when you entered your title number, or the title number was pre-populated into the workspace, we ordered that an electronic copy of that register, and we've used that electronic copy to pre-populate data and recognize risks. So I like to just use this paragraph as an example. It looks like a really simple, basic sentence, but really what we've done is we have pre-populated the address, the tenure type, the title number, when it was last purchased, and for the price. So in that simple sentence, we've done so much pre-population just to save you time and to reduce error. Same with this one. You'll see paragraphs such as this that are orange and that have like a little alert symbol on it. And that's simply because nowhere in your matter, your case management, in your searches, no data source is letting us know whether the seller is other than the proprietor. So this is where we would need a little bit of a manual intervention, and if the content is relevant, you can fill in the information. If it's not, you can simply untick it and it removes the alert and you're rewarded with a little tick up here. So just to give a bit more information about the sort of pre-population we do for the register, we recognise the class of title, we pre-populate any easements, beneficial or subjective, mines and minerals, we recognise whether they're included, excluded, and we also recognise the type of, we refine from the type of tenure for boundary information. Something I also like to say with this section and with all of property report, although you're seeing a lot of content here, there's also a lot of content you're not seeing because it's not applicable. We also report on or recognise rent charges in the register, whether there's a possessory class of title, a qualified class of title, if it's a leasehold, a good leasehold class of title. You can't see that here because we've looked at the register, we've analysed it, we've risk assessed it, and we've said that's not relevant, and so we haven't included that in there. Okay. When you make edits in each section, you have this curly arrow here, which just indicates to you that you've made an edit. We also have a button here, which allows you to go to the source document and cross-reference the information that we've pre-populated from, should you wish to check that. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the property details section. The second section is the inquiries of the seller. So this is, of course, where you would input all the information you would have obtained through your inquiries process with the seller solicitors or the seller side. You can input all the information from your TA forms and any extra information such as solar panels, fire safety, whether the buyer, is an investor, maybe want to rent out the property in the future. Maybe they need to know about, the legalities of having a house in multiple occupation. Something you may have noticed is that some sections are deselected, and that's because in our settings, where we feel the content or where we feel the content is not relevant for every transaction, and we might just want to streamline our process a bit more, we've deselected it from settings. But I like to use flying freehold as an example. So flying freehold, it has a lot of content. You may not need it every time, but so you can deselect it from your settings so it's not in your way, but you can also add it back whenever you need to. So it's always like in your back pocket, so to speak. That the inquiry section. So the searches section here is again a section where we pre-populate a lot of the data from. So if you order a regulated local authority search through InfoTrack, we're able to read and risk assess